So you're thinking about making a move to Bend, or maybe you're already here, getting ready for that lateral shift of some kind here in 2025. And you want to get a better understanding of what sections of town could be the best fit for you. Now, today, what we're going to be doing is a driving tour from, say, the east edge of town to the west edge of town, going right through the middle of town on Greenwood Avenue, or Highway 20, or Newport Avenue, or Chevlin Park Road. It's all the same road, but they have four different names in their respective sections. So we're going to explain all that. I know it might sound a little confusing, but what we'll do is start on the very east edge of town and just start driving west, talking about the east side, and then eventually talking about the Midtown portion of the driving tour, and then eventually getting to the west side to discuss why the west side commands such a high price point compared to the other sections of this road trip. So if a video sounds like it could be of service to you, something like this, a driving tour from the east side of Bend to the west side, stick around. We're jumping into the car right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel or it's your 50th, doesn't matter to me, and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the difference between the east side of Bend and the west side of Bend, then subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market happenings here in Bend and surrounding sunny Central Oregon. My name's Ryan. I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. Zach and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you looking for help with their next transaction as it relates to real estate here in Bend in Central Oregon. So whether you're looking to make that transaction a reality in the next 9 days or 90, that also doesn't matter to us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or set up a Zoom call. If you're local, let's go get coffee somewhere and discuss your situation face to face. Now, with all that being out of the way, let's discuss what we're going to be doing. Like I said in the intro, we're going to be hopping into the car and just driving from the east edge of town to the west edge of town. It took about 20 minutes, midday on a Friday afternoon. Got some traffic in between, but it gives you an understanding of the vibes of the east side, the vibes of the mid part of town, as well as the vibes of the west side of town. Because after all, we've been driving it home at length, the difference in price points between, say, the east side and the west side. And it's no secret, the west side commands a much higher price point for a home than does the east side. So perhaps this driving tour could help you understand at a slightly higher level as to why the homes are so much more affordable on the east side versus the west side. So with that being said, let's just hop into the car and just get after it so we can show you what we're talking about. Okay, so we are just entering the Bend city limits. You saw the sign there on the right-hand side. It says 106,000 people now live inside the Bend city limits. That's crazy to me, especially after living here for 30 plus years. When I first saw that sign read about 22,000 people back in the very early 1990s. So we are on the east side of town now. We just entered into the city limits. Behind us is Highway 20. That's a single lane road that goes for hundreds of miles with basically nothing in between here and Boise, Idaho, except for Burns and Vail, Oregon, but a lot of Oregon Badlands in between here in Idaho and Boise. But where we're facing now is directly west. This is going to be the 27th Street and Highway 20 intersection. We went straight through. We're still going westbound now. If you were to take a right at that intersection there at 27th Street, that eventually would take you to Mountain View High School, about 2 miles to the north. But instead, we're going straight. To the right of us right now is the Forum Shopping Center. This is where Costco used to be. And so this side of town commands most likely a significantly less volume of traffic today than, say, a year ago at this time when Costco was drawing people from all over Central Oregon. And this was one of the primary ways of getting there. But now as we continue on, we've got car dealerships to our right and to our left. And of course, you see that big cinder cone right in front of us. That is Pilot Butte. That is a 500-foot tall cinder cone from where we're driving right now. It rises up and it's a very popular recreation destination, especially for people who want to get up and get out and start walking, running, hiking, biking up, driving up. It's where our fireworks display is for the 4th of July each and every year. And it's just kind of a central landmark of Bend. And you can see it from just about every little pocket of town. And it gives you a good sense of where you are. Okay. If you look up and you see Pilot Butte, okay, now you have an understanding of what part of town you might be in based off of where you're looking at Pilot Butte from. But as we loop around here, we're getting into more of, say, the Midtown portion of Greenwood Avenue, Highway 20. Eventually, this turns into Newport Avenue. We'll get to that here in a second. But what I want to bring your attention to now is this map. And as you can see here, what's highlighted, the blue dots represent closed sales in this section of town over the last 6 months. And what you're going to see here is very interesting. The highlighted area here, the median home price in this section of town is roughly $530,000. This might be the most affordable section of Bend over the last 6 months because the median home price, generally speaking, is much higher, over 700, sometimes up to $800,000 in a given month. But this particular stretch here, there were 50 sales in the last 6 months, and the median home price here was 530,000. The median size was about 1,500 square feet, and the median lot size was roughly 0.14 acres. So this gives you some idea. Get a feel for this section of town here. This is the east side of town. We're getting into Midtown, but there are subdivisions on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side of where we're driving at right now, and the homes in this particular pocket of Bend, as we approach Highway 97 and 3rd Street, more of a central area, still remains very affordable, comparatively speaking. 530,000 for a median home price in this section of Bend. Now you can see it doesn't necessarily have the pizzazz and the vibe and the personality that we might see eventually in this video as we get to the west side of town. But this is why we always talk about the differences in between, say, the west side and the east side, because they are stark in difference. And it's important that we point it out because you can see this just feels like a city that we're in. Any old city, USA. Okay, traffic everywhere, gas station to your right. There's really nothing appealing about where we're at right now. This happens to be the busiest intersection in town. This is 3rd Street as a cross street. Remember the video I did about a week ago? It was talking about traffic in Bend. We were on 3rd Street going from the south to the north, and we crossed through this intersection. And I made a note of it about how this is the busiest intersection in town. Now we're here at a different vantage point going westbound through it. And so as we cross 3rd Street, now we're getting more towards, say, the central part of Bend. We're coming up on downtown. You can see that sky crane in front of us. We're going to go underneath the overpass here, which is the Bend Parkway. That's Highway 97 right in front of us. And we're going to go underneath it, and then eventually we'll be on, say, the north edge of downtown. Now, that sky crane is one of 3 or 4 that are scattered throughout the city right now as we get rising buildings growing from all stretches of Bend. This is the courthouse where that sky crane is right now, and it's getting a massive renovation, a $45 million facelift. They're adding tens of thousands of square feet to it to just meet the demand for what is necessary as this town continues to grow. We just crossed over Bond Street, okay, and now we're at the intersection of Wall Street and Newport Avenue. So this is now where Greenwood becomes Newport Avenue. We're entering into the west side. So get a feel for the vibe change. What feels different already in terms of this side of town versus the previous side, the east side of town? This is the Deschutes River Bridge right here. We're crossing over, and now we're officially into the west side of Bend. And so what feels different? As we look at where we're driving right now, Newport Avenue is a primary road on the west side, along with Galveston Avenue, as well as Reed Market that turns into Mount Washington. But this has a bunch of commercial businesses on it eventually. There's a fantastic school up here on the left, but you can get a sense for just how things have kind of shifted. Again, west side of town. Take a look at the map now. I drew an outline of homes in this section of town that have closed in the last 6 months and get a feel for where we're driving driving right now and just imagine homes on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side by several blocks in on each side and what it feels like to be driving through this stretch of town. The median home price here in this section of town is just over $1 million. And in the last 6 months, we had roughly 28 sales where you see the outline and all those blue dots where we're driving right now. If you took a right here at this roundabout, that would take you up to Aubrey Butte. If you go straight, which we're going to do, that's going to continue us on our journey to the deeper parts of the west side of Bend. If we were to take a complete left at that roundabout, it would eventually take us down to Harmon Park and access to the Deschutes River on the opposite side of Drake Park. So again, look at the amenities. We've got Back Porch Coffee to our right. We've got Newport Avenue Market to our left. We've got some fantastic restaurants coming up here. There's Chow. It's a fantastic breakfast place. But this gives you hopefully some more understanding. These homes on the west side have been here for a long time. Some of them over 100 years, many of which have been torn down and then rebuilt because the value of the land and the culture and the vibe on this side of town is just much higher than it is where we started this video. But as we continue on, this net intersection here is basically 14th Street with, if we were to take a hard left here, eventually that turns into Century Drive. This right here, if we took a left, would be the road to Mount Bachelor from where we're at right now. But we're going to go straight and we're going to continue to show you more of what the west side really looks like. Again, homes in this section here, median home price over the last 6 months is about $1,040,000 to $1,060,000. Similar size homes, slightly bigger than what we saw on the east side there. But again, it's a drastically higher price point based off of the location. But just keep in mind, Bend is a small enough town. This is about a 5 mile stretch of road that we're driving on. So it's not like we're talking two different metropolitan areas. This is all the same town, but just one side versus the other. That hillside there, that's eventually that's a road that takes you up to Central Oregon Community College. We're going straight, and now we just shifted again. We're no longer Newport Avenue, but this is now Chevlin Park Road. I know. It's hard to keep up, but here we are on the very west edge of town. It feels like we're kind of getting out of town, but we're really not. I mean, this used to be kind of like the edge of town, but there are subdivisions on the right-hand side. There are commercial buildings on the left-hand side. That's a brand new build there, but behind it is going to be basically the start of Northwest Crossing, one of the primary master plan communities on the west side that have really kind of given homage to how neighborhoods are built and constructed and designed today in Bend because of what happened 25 years ago, right here in this section of town in Northwest Crossing. We're on the very north edge of Northwest Crossing, but you can see here, there's a bunch of commercial businesses, there's a couple churches that we've passed along, and now we get into the homes. But what's interesting about the map that you see now here, as we get close to the Mount Washington Drive intersection, this little outline here showcases homes along the same stretch of road, just with a different name, that have sold in the last 6 months. And what we're looking at is a significant increase in the median home price. The further west we go, the more expensive the homes get. The median home price for homes in this particular section of town over the last 6 months is roughly 1.4 to maybe 1.5 million. Now we're at Mount Washington Drive, this intersection here. You can take a look. That's Valhalla Heights there, that intersection and that subdivision. That's been around since the 1970s. That was here before Summit High School was here. Everything really else around here was not developed until after Summit High School was opened back in the year 2001. So pretty interesting stuff. Now we're getting into the Chevlin neighborhoods here. There are multiple subdivisions with the word and name Chevlin as part of the subdivision title. Chevlin Meadows, Chevlin Commons, among many others. But as you see, we're on Chevlin Park Road, still the same stretch of road that we started on at the very beginning of the video. But again, if you look at the map, what you're going to see are all those little blue dots there in this outline. Those are closed sales in the last 6 months. And the median price point for this section of town, you can see crazy development too. The median price point is 1.4 to 1.5 million dollars over the last 6 months. So a huge difference, a 5 mile stretch of us driving and going from say 500,000s to the 1.4s to the $1.5 million range. It's kind of raining a little bit today, so we got the wipers going, but on the left-hand side, there's going to be some roads that you can turn left onto, and those are some newer neighborhoods, and they feed into additional neighborhoods. So you find Westgate back there, you find the Tree Farm back there. Eventually, that takes you over to Skyliners Road, but now we're getting far enough along Chevlin Park Road to where we have a subdivision to our right and one of the final subdivisions to our left as we approach the intersection. This is where Chevlin Commons is. Okay, median home price in this area on the left-hand side can be up to 2 million to 2.5 million, depending on which section of the subdivision that you're in. But there are multiple subdivisions in there as well. But now we're not really going to see any further homes as we get beyond, say, all the development on the west side of Bend. This road will take us to Chevlin Park, where we'll end the video. But ultimately speaking, you just started from the very east edge of town and you finished at the very west edge of town, and it took you roughly 20 minutes. I sped up the video just a little bit to help us get through this. But again, you just drove from the very east side of town to the very west edge of Bend. This is Chevlin Park here, very popular destination. You can park on either the left side or the right side. We're going to park into the right side here. This is where Aspen Hall is, a very popular area for weddings, for photography in the fall. There's a pond back there, a fishing hole where kids get to go cast their line, but great hiking trails everywhere. And the same thing on the other side of the road there. So we're going to wrap this video up right now. Thank you if you're still watching this. Hopefully this gives you some perspective, okay? The west side versus the east side, price points, the vibe, etc., etc. You've done enough research watching this channel now where you can go now and look back at some of the other videos that we have on the west side or on the east side to get a feel for what the houses look like themselves, because we just took you through the primary artery from the east side to the west side to give you that understanding like we did with the previous video from the south side to the north side. So again, thank you for watching. If it's your time to reach out, please do so. It starts with you. Call us, text us, email us, set up a Zoom call, or if you're local, let's go meet somewhere and have a cup of coffee. My name is Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.